Is this mic even on? Are we starting that way? So the rule at my high school was you could miss 10 days a semester, no questions asked. But as soon as you tipped over into the 11th day, if any of your absences were unexcused, you would be expelled. Now, this wasn't really a problem for me until the beginning of my sophomore year, where in the space of a month and a half, my mother got sick, was diagnosed with cancer, and died. So, obviously, I hit that 10-day wall pretty quick. And it was a few weeks after my mother's death that I was called into the office by the secretaries, and they said, you have 11 absences, you're going to be expelled. But the secretaries knew me. They hadn't, that's a weird way to phrase it. The secretaries knew me. They'd been dealing not only with my mother's death and the paperwork associated with that, but also I was applying to another school in Indiana, the Indiana Academy, which was a boarding school run by the state. It only took 150 students a year, and it was a really big deal to get in, and I'd been accepted. So they knew I was a good student, they knew I was a good kid, and they said, look, 9 of your absences, totally excused, your dad called in, no problem. These other two, you're listed as missing one class on a random day. So if you just go to the professors, ask them to sign off, say that you were there, no problem. You'll get through and you can move on to the academy next year. I was like, okay, this should be easy because one of the teachers was my French teacher. And my French teacher was a great teacher. We knew she was a great teacher because she told us she was a great teacher over and over again. Also mentioned repeatedly how many times she'd won teaching awards. And I'd been her student for a year and a half. She knew me well enough that I'd actually gone to her home and played dog crap out of her backyard. So I figured, okay, I'll just go talk to her, she'll sign the little form, I'll be fine. But when I went and talked to her, and I told her the situation, she just pulled out her logbook and went, nope, you weren't here. I'm pretty sure I was. I don't skip classes. You're the only person this day saying I wasn't here. So, no, you weren't here. I was like, well, what did we do that day? Well, we watched this video. And I remembered the video. I had notes on the video. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I was here. And then I remembered that I'd actually come in late that day. Because in the previous class, I'd been helping the teacher clean some stuff up. And he wrote a note saying that, don't mark him tardy or late. He was helping out in the library. I was like, okay, I had a note. I was here. She's like, nope, I keep all the notes I've been given. You weren't here. And that's really when it started to dawn on me. And it should have dawned on me earlier, but I was 15, so it's naturally a little slow. She was actually going to let me get expelled. I said, they're going to expel me over this. And she said, well, you should have been here. And I didn't know how to deal with that, not just because of the threat of expulsion, but she was grinning the whole time. She was smirking. She was really happy about literally cutting off the rest of my future, just squashing me. She had this attitude like, I finally got ya. You've been trying to get over this stuff for forever, and now I got ya. Except, I'm not Ferris Bueller. I should have been Ferris Bueller. I was in northern Indiana. I was 2 hours away from Chicago. I should have been Ferris Buellering my ass off, skipping school left and right. But I did not. So I left there really shaken. And the other teacher just went and asked, no questions asked, just signed off, like, yeah, sure, I know you're not making this up. So I didn't get expelled. And unfortunately, my French teacher being so proud and petty and pathetic about crushing a child is not special. It doesn't say that much about the perversity of power. What does, though, is 7 years later, after I'd been to the academy and went to college and was on the path that eventually leads me to being here, I was going through a box in my basement, and I found a picture of her, an 8x10 picture of my teacher, because she passed those out. Because apparently that's what people do. And my first thought when I saw that picture was, oh wow, she was a great teacher. And then I remembered everything else. And then I remembered how much she almost destroyed everything I'd been working for, just because she didn't want to admit she'd made a little mistake. And the punchline to this whole story is, after I left for the academy, this person who was so eager to crush children's futures was promoted to guidance counselor.